Hello everyone, welcome to Tactica Imperialis and to today's video. As you can see, new digs. I've moved back to university now, so I apologise if the sound is a bit weird. There's not much I can really do about it. This is not a good room for soundproofing, but I've got a little bit of a cubby hole, so here's hoping. Today is going to be another My Thoughts on video, and I wanted to talk a little bit more in the news. Obviously, we had Nova Open, that's hard to say fast. We had that quite recently, but there was something else got previewed as well in the interim, and that was the Beasts of Chaos, a new Age of Sigmar faction that is actually just 4 factions put back together, which is a good thing to see. So I wanted to talk about this a little bit because it's an interesting development in terms of factions. And it's also a lot of interesting new mechanics with multiple allegiance abilities in the same book, as well as more terrain chicanery. There's just a few things I wanted to talk about with the Beasts of Chaos that I thought were worth discussing. So, where I want to start is with the whole idea of factions being consolidated back together again. This is something that we weren't sure was going to happen because we've never seen it before. During the Age of Sigmar, around the time of General's Handbook 1, back in AOS 1 a couple of years ago, a lot of the factions that we used to know ceased to be. So, High Elves became Lion Rangers, Phoenix Temple, Order Draconis, Swift Hawk Agents, all sorts of things. And the same thing happened in Chaos, and Beastmen were one of the factions split. They became Beasts of Chaos, no, not Beasts of Chaos, they became Brayherd, which is Gores, Ungores, Bestigores, Beast Lords, Great Bray Shamans, that sort of thing. Warherd, which was Minotaurs, which became Bulgors, Cygors, Gorgons, and Doombulls, or whatever they're called these days. And some of their other bits got split up as well, so things like Monsters of Chaos became a thing. And some of the other factions were split up as well, like Warriors of Chaos became Slaves to Darkness, along with Beasts of Chaos becoming a separate faction for things like Chaos Warhounds. Or whatever they called them, I don't know. Thunderscorn were pulled out, the Dragon Ogres and Jagoths. A lot of factions got split. And until now, pretty much, they haven't been put back together. Not in the same way. I mean, Death did this as well with Legions of Nagash. It reconsolidated everything back under one banner, but it did it in a different way. As we'll see as I get to the articles in a moment, it fully reconsolidated the armies back together again under the banners of the Grand Host, the Legion of Blood, the Legion of Sacrament, and the Legion of Night. Soulblight and Nighthaunt were their own thing that had been built out of an old faction, but we've seen Nighthaunt go on to get their own book, and Soulblight can still be taken under the banner of a Grand Host and use their Legion's abilities as opposed to their own. It's kind of a mixed bag. The idea of factions coming back together is not new, but Death never really separated quite the same way. Or at least I don't feel like Death separated quite the same way. You were often playing mixed Death because you needed your Death Mages, your Death Rattle, your Death Walkers, your Death Lords. There's a lot of Death. It didn't feel the same, and this is the first time I feel that factions have been brought together without losing their own sense of identity. Allow me to explain. So, if I'm onto the right article, which I am, the army with loads of allegiance abilities is what they call this first little article, and they mean that. See, just some great artwork as I go past. There is some lovely artwork as ever. But this is what I mean. Brayherd, Warherd, and Thunderscorn, the 3 main factions of Beasts of Chaos, still are separated. You can still play Mono Brayherd, and it basically gives Brayherd their own proper set of allegiance abilities if they didn't have one already. I feel like Brayherd did in the General's Handbook, but I could be wrong. But Warherd, you can now play still Mono Warherd, and you have an allegiance ability for them. You can play Mono Thunderscorn and still have an allegiance ability for them, but you can play all of them together and get all of the allegiance abilities. So what it says here, you can take a combined force of Bulgor and Thunderscorn and both get their unique abilities. What that means is that there is no Beasts of Chaos allegiance ability. It's not like the Legions where you got a Legion allegiance ability that applied to every unit in the army, no matter which subgroup they used to belong to. Whether they used to be Death Rattle or Soul Blight, whoever they were, if they were in a Legion, they used that Legion's abilities every time. That Legion's relics, that Legion's abilities. Always. However, this time, no matter what you play, all of your units get an ability that benefits them and them alone. So it's not a case of, oh, I've got this ability, but because my primary allegiance is going to be Brayherd, my Warherd don't really benefit from this. No, it's fine, my Warherd get their own ability, which is powerful for them and benefits them. I think it more works the other way in that Brayherd don't benefit from the Warherd ability, which is healing, because most Brayherd units don't heal. So it's a really nice combination of allowing the factions to have their own identities, but allowing them to operate under one banner, as you would sort of expect them to do if you were to sort of imagine the army up in your head. And I think that's really, really nice. So let's have a look at these abilities as well. The Brayherd Ambush. This is exactly how Beastmen used to operate, by the way. For every Beast of Chaos unit you set up on the battlefield, you can set up a Brayherd unit to one side in ambush as a reserve unit. So one reserve unit per unit you deploy. At the end of the first movement phase, you must set up all friendly reserve units that are in ambush within 6 inches of the edge and more than 9 inches from any enemy units. Any reserves that cannot be set up are slain. It's not exactly the same as Beastmen ambush, because that used to be allowed to go into later turns, but the idea of for every unit you deploy, you could deploy one in reserve and it comes on where you want it. That idea has not changed. And it will allow Brayherd to encircle their enemies in close distance a lot more quickly. Because you can put Chaos Warhounds, Centigore, lots of speedy units down, and then set up your Gores and Bestigores in ambush and just have them appear 9 inches away, and the job's a good one. Warherd, at the end of the combat phase, if any attacks made by a Warherd unit in that combat phase destroy enemy units, heal D3 allocated wounds. Note it says at the end of the combat phase, you do not heal immediately. I just want to make that clear. It's not, oh, I just killed something, great, I get my wounds back and now you won't kill me. No, it's, okay, I've attacked, I'm going to heal, now I need to hope you don't kill me. So you can't use this to attack first, get some healing to survive another wave of attacks. You're still going to have to take those attacks before the healing kicks in. Just keep that in mind. Finally, for Thunderscorn, at the start of your hero phase, roll the dice. Each friendly Thunderscorn unit more than 3 inches from any enemy units can move a distance in inches equal to the roll, but cannot move within 3 inches. So you basically get plus d6 inches movement on any unit not in melee. Which, considering how fast Dragon Ogres and Shaggoths are, is quite nice. That's quite nice. I don't know how powerful it is, but given the speed at which it will allow them to close with the enemy on top of their already quite prodigious speed, it is very useful. And again, it plays into the Brayherd ambush. You can put your speedy Thunderscorn units down, who are going to go stupid fast, and then set up your Brayherd in ambush. Nice combination, and you get all of those. You're not locked into one or the other, and that's lovely. But wait, there's more. The Herdstone. Okay. This is the other thing I wanted to talk about. And I don't know if I want to talk about it in a positive way. The Herdstone is a lovely looking new piece of terrain. It's a beautiful thing, and you just plop it down on the board. We're not exactly sure where yet. We assume it has to be in your deployment zone, or maybe it has to be a certain distance from enemy territory. Because what it is very, very powerful. And this is an allegiance ability, by the way, just keep that in mind. It's an allegiance ability, you get a Herdstone. It's kind of like Nurgle gets a Nalmor as part of its allegiance ability, the dial. The Beast of Chaos get the Herdstone. So, at the start of the game, it has an aura ability of subtract 1 from save rolls for attacks that target units within 6 inches of this terrain feature. Beasts of Chaos are not affected. So if you go and stand near a herdstone, you effectively have -1 armor save. Also, Beasts of Chaos units wholly within 6 inches do not take battle shock tests. Alright, it's a free piece of terrain that you just plonk down on the board. So you get a small aura of basically giving your units rend, and you get a small aura of immune to battle shock. So if you can castle up around it, you don't take battle shock. If they come to dislodge you from that castle, you've got some rend. And it also gives some area denial if you choose to do it that way. It's quite a useful piece of terrain. However, at the start of each battle round after the first, add 6 inches to the range of both those abilities. So on turn 2, all Beast of Chaos units holding within 12 inches do not take battle shock tests, and any save rolls for basically enemy units within 6 inches have basically -1 rend. And then it's turn 3 and it's 18 inches. And then it's turn 4 and it's 24 inches, and that's the entire board, almost. So if you take a deployment map where it's 50-50 deployment, so you're half a board here, half a board there, if you pop the herdstone pretty much smack bang in the middle, 24 inches on turn 4, that's the entirety of 48 inches of the wide board, and it's most of the way across a 72-inch board as well. You've got 12 inches either side, I think. That's it. That's it. The entire mid-board will just be under this effect for the entirety of the back end of the game. Did I mention it's free? And did I also mention it's indestructible? Yeah, I have questions about this. Not because I think it's super massive OP, please nerf now, but because it sets a dangerous precedent. Look at the terrain pieces that we've had available for armies in the past. Let's take the Feculent Narmor, for example, which is the probably nearest comparison we have. You put one down at the start of the game somewhere and it does something. In this case, generate corruption points for you, or if you go and stand next to it, it can deal out mortal wounds. And it also acts as a summoning locus, just for more things it can do. However, you can shut down its corruption point generation by going and standing next to it. Sure, you'll get poked for a mortal wound every other turn, but so what? You've got a big unit, just poke, kill a dude, fine. If you're death, you completely don't care. And you also, if you have a big enough unit, mean you can't summon around it, because you have to summon with a certain inch of the tree and not within 9 inches of an enemy unit. So if you castle up around the tree, all of a sudden they can't summon with it. All it's doing is just poking you with a big stick every other turn, because it's roughly 4 or 5 plus to do a mortal wound. It's not that bad. Then you take the Gloomtide Shipwreck, the Ideneth one. That is pretty much you have to be stood on it or stood right next to it. It gives Ideneth units a 6+ save after a save and pokes enemy units with a big stick. And that's free, and that gets plonked down on the board like a piece of terrain. Fine, it's free, it doesn't do that much, it benefits nearby Ideneth units, and it hurts nearby enemy units. That's it. The tree, sure, that provides summoning points throughout the game, but it can be neutralised by standing near it. Sylvaneth Wildwoods are silly, but again, you can't teleport through a Sylvaneth Wildwood if your opponent stood in it. So again, you can still poke them with a big stick, but you can negate what it does in terms of the most nasty part of it. What this Herdstone does is it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and you can't stop it at all. It's not like it's got 20 wounds and a 3-up save, so it's very difficult to kill, but you can kill it. It's not like that. It is indestructible, it is free, and it has the ability to reduce the armor of your entire army by the mid-game and make your opponent's army entirely immune to battle shock by the mid-game. Well, maybe not entirely, but pretty damn close if it's deployed carefully. That's dangerous. It really is. And whilst I don't think the Herdstone's going to be OP, if this is the precedent of what we're getting for allegiance-aligned terrain, I do think they're going to cross the line at some point, and they need to be careful. Oh, and did I mention it's also used for summoning? Admittedly, this summoning is you sacrifice your unit and you summon some more units. So it's not exactly just generating summoning points like the Nurgle tree. You do need to sacrifice to it. We don't exactly know the details yet, but it's a thing. So it's summoning. It's an aura of rend. It's an aura of immune to battle shock. It's free and it's indestructible. Right. Like I say, I just think it's a little bit dangerous. It needs to be kept an eye on very closely, and I think maybe what they could have done was... What am I thinking of? Was to rework it. Instead of being 6 + 6 + 6, it goes, something my friend said, 9 + 3 + 3. That way it affects more of the board early on, but it takes a lot longer to infect the entire board. It won't cover board edge to board edge at any point, because it needs 6 turns to get there. And if you want to cover 18 inches, 1 more turn. That 12-inch aura is the same on turn 2, but it doesn't spiral the same way. It's more tactical and more nuanced in terms of how you use it. So that's what I think it needs, just maybe a slight tweak, maybe. Let me know what you think in the comments below about the power of the Herdstone. A little bit of a look at the summoning table here. You've also got some equivalents to Stormhost, the Great Phrase, one of which gives your Warherd and Thunderscorn the Brayherd ability. Oh good. Oh good. Or you've got another one that allows you to turn your dead heroes into Chaos Spawn. Oh good. And also, you get Marks of Chaos again. Oh good. That's quite cool actually. I'm quite glad to see that Beastmen get their marks back. Pestigors, Zangors are in the book, so it'll be nice. Giving them the keyword means that they're good for allying into Bloodbound or Maggotkin or whatever. I think that's a good move. Again, keep an eye on it, but it's a good move. And, well, that's about it. We've got another article here that I want to jump over to, which is a little bit more about some of the units that are coming back. So, Pestigor now get +1 to hit against big units and reroll 1s to hit against Order. Ow! And they also get +1 attack on the turn they make a charge move. So actually they've got their elite infantry back. That's something that Pestigor I think had a problem with, is that they weren't that elite. I found when I took on Pestigor a long time ago when it was still Dark Elves and it was against Beastmen, they really didn't have much punch. So giving them +1 to hit or more attacks or rerolls, I think that's a nice thing to have. Oh, and then we start collecting. Gargants, good to see that Chaos Gargants are back. So they've got the ability to be whipped, kind of like the War Hydra for Order Serpentis. Admittedly, it's a bit more consistent than the War Hydra, as in you do a mortal wound, you get +1 attack for its melee weapons. Okay. Gorgons have been boosted as well. They can eat things. You pick an enemy model within 1 inch, roll equal to or greater than its wound characteristic, and kill it. So if there's a special weapon character, you're probably killing it on a 2 or 3 up in a unit. If there's a hero, you probably need a 5 or a 6 to kill it. But 1 in 3 chance of taking a hero out of the game is still pretty good. So that's kind of nice to see. If some of these abilities look familiar to you, then I apologise, because I haven't seen these units ever on the board. Dragon Ogres now hit on 3s. Oh, good. Shaggoths are now wizards, which is fun. Also, they have a spell that gives them an extra point of Rend, which stacks with your Herdstone, so that becomes effectively Rend 2 if cast in the right place. Okay, good. I think it's good to see Shaggoths getting boosted. It's kind of like the Bloodrat Medusa getting boosted, so I'm not complaining, just a nice change. And then Bulgor, obviously they get their healing now, which is a huge deal. And they've also got a bit more damage as well, so they roll 6s to hit, they do mortal wounds, more chance of getting that healing to activate, which is good. Centaur Brayherd got some extra attacks, as well as the ability to boost their hit rolls. Oh, so this is how it is. So if you can choose, kind of like with Wrathmongers who buff everything around them, they get +1 to hit, but they're +1 to be hit as well. So instead of being hit on 4s by an attack, it's it's now a 3+, and that applies to shooting attacks as well. So it's quite a fun one. I quite like that. I approve. Zangor are back. They're going to live in Beastmen as well. Great Bray Shamans. Savage Dominion is back, but it's not what it used to be. Savage Dominion was the stupidest spell to ever stupid. Cast it on like a 6, summon a monster. That includes Archaon. So I had a game early in AOS 1 where I one-shot killed Archaon with a massively buffed unit of Executioners, and he popped straight back up because he used Savage Dominion. Next turn, one-shot killed Scarbrand, and it popped straight back up. I hated that spell, and it disappeared. And now they've brought in a new one, which turns an enemy monster onto you. So you pick an enemy monster, roll 2d6. If it's greater than its bravery, it immediately moves 3 inches toward the closest model. You can then pick a unit within 1 inch and roll a number of dice equal to the monster's wound characteristic and deal roughly half that number in mortal wounds. So it's not stellar. It's a quick, take a monster, move it a teensy bit, which probably just might bump it into a unit, and then whack it, which is nice. Now, there is a third article to come out. I, unfortunately, don't have access to that at this moment at the time of recording, but that promises to show off a bunch of fun things as well. So there you go. That is a bit of a news preview as well as a bit of a review of my thoughts on the Beasts of Chaos. In short, I will say I'm very excited to see the Beasts of Chaos. I'm not saying we should have had them now. I'd have rather seen Destruction get something. Good grief, wear a Moon Clan or Spiderfang or something. We have no Grot still in this game. We need that more than we need Beastmen, I think. But I'm excited to see them. I think they're an interesting, different take on playing Chaos. Hopefully that provides some nice lore about the universe as well. For example, Dragon Ogres were the original inhabitants of Azir, and then Sigmar kicked them out. Interesting. More information about Gur and all the wildlands. Interesting. See, there's something that can definitely be done here. So I'm excited to see it from a lore perspective, and I'm interested about them from a gameplay perspective. I think they'll be fine, but we need to keep an eye on the Herdstone, because if we make anything like that again in an army that's got more punch, it could be very, very scary, and I think we need to keep an eye on it going forward just to see how powerful it is. But I like the whole theme of combining factions but keeping them separate with their own allegiance abilities. I like some of the rule changes that they seem to be getting, and I like the Herdstone thematically. I just think it might need to be watched or maybe tweaked. But we shall see in the future, I suppose. So, thank you very much for watching this video. Let me know what you think in the comments below. This has been Tactica Imperialis, and this has been my thoughts on the Beasts of Chaos, which will be coming very, very soon, I don't doubt. Thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.